Welcome to Beyond Marketing, the podcast. I'm Mara Genovese. I'm the founder and CEO of MG Empower Global Integrated Market Agency. Today we have an extraordinary guest, Aline Machado, whose journey is as inspired as it is insightful. With over 15 years of global experience in marketing across FMCG, fashion, and sports industry, she has truly made her mark in the marketing world. As an empathetic and innovative leader, she has thrived across Latin, EMEA, and the UK. She's here to share her remarkable journey, the wins, the losses, and the invaluable lessons learned along the way about leadership, marketing, and adapt in a fast-paced market. Welcome to Beyond Marketing, the podcast, Aline.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I know it's kind of that time of the year that we all so crazy, busy, running around, trying to wrap up the year. So I appreciate
no worries.
The time. Can I mention that we're fellow Brazilians?
Of course.
We have
That's
to,
the first
right?
thing. The
That's
first
the
thing I
first
said.
thing. By the way, this is the English podcast, but Aline is also Brazilian. And for those that does not know, I am also Brazilian. So I'm even more excited to be here with a Brazilian fellow because it feels so exciting and empowering to have someone like you that's come from my country and has succeeded and had an amazing, inspiring story. So go Brazil, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. That's the first thing that we have to say.
Go Brazil, yeah.
Describe Aline. I'm Brazilian. That's the
Brazilian.
first thing that's
I wish I could say here on the podcast, hi, I'm Mara Genovese, the CEO and founder of FMG. And by the way, I'm Brazilian. So I think I'm going to add that on our next episode. But Aline, anyway, super excited. I've been following you on LinkedIn for a few years because of the Brazilian connection, and I love to see, Brazilians that lives outside Brazil have an incredible career. So it makes me proud, but also makes me feel inspired to see, other women coming from a foreign country to live abroad and an immigrant and all of that, because it's not easy.
No, definitely.
Sometimes people look at us and say, oh, it's easy, but it's not. It's kind of like we come from all the country with a different language, different culture, different weather, and we made it, but it's a long journey to be where we are today, right?
Yes, I think first, thank you for having me. And in the UK, I've been here for 12 years. So 13 years next year.
Wow.
I think the feeling is that I still feel that not too different from when I arrived, because it's the home away from home. And someone told me once that once you leave your country and you go and you're going to start your new life somewhere else, you're never going to feel home anywhere that you go, because it's the same. When I go back to Brazil, I miss London, I miss the UK, and vice versa. But it's been a journey. It's been a journey, a very interesting journey, and it's a journey that I'm proud of. I think it's important to say that because we don't take the time to stop and really evaluate what happened in this 12, 13 years that I've been here. But the journey started in Brazil. So it's the UK. I call the second chapter of career, and the journey in the world of things that I love so much working on.
It's good that you said that the journey did not start here. The journey started in Brazil, because sometimes, because I've been here for 20 years, so it's as a long time as you. But sometimes I always like to remind myself that not just because I'm here for 20 years that the journey has started here. The journey started back when I was in Brazil. So Brazil is part of where we are today. It's
100%.
It's good that you mentioned that point. But talk about your career experience, your journey. So Brazil, outside Brazil, UK, Europe, and your love for sports, because I've heard and I can see that you're passionate about sports.
Yes. So my the story is that the child Aline wanted to be a ballerina. So that's where it started. I think the whole the love for movement, I would say. So I've danced ballet for 14 years and then I stopped, but this was back in Brazil. And my whole life I thought that this is where I would work with and I would be a choreographer, and that would be the path. But then, teenager, I just said, I don't want this anymore. And I ended up going into the world of marketing and communication, because that's what I studied back in Brazil. And the decision was very much, I like to communicate. That's what, because when you're 16, choosing what you're going to study in the university, you don't really know what you're doing. But then once I was at the university, and then I started, you get to experience different areas and understand what you can actually do once you leave there. And then I really falling in love for marketing. And then my journey in Brazil started in FMCG, which was it was a good training. So as a new intern, you go, it is very structured, and everything has a purpose, and and you're so young, and you're thrown into this very structured place, and it was great. But then after that, I actually moved to the UK for 1 year. And when I went back to Brazil, I decided that I wanted to try something very different from what it was, the FMCG. And I ended up going into fashion. So in the fashion world, and being a trainee, and then becoming a buyer, and it was a whole new world that opened. Because when you look from the outside, oh, that's great. I always love fashion. I love arts since ever. But then when you understand the commercial side and how intricate is everything, the chains, and how does it work. And for me, it was great because I love the commercial area, and I've learned how a garment is produced. And then you start questioning how things are produced as well. And that was very interesting. And I was involved with factories in Brazil and outside Brazil, and that was great. But I always have something that I get to a point, and I said, I don't think I'm learning as much I would like to. So what I'm going to do, and I decided to do a post-graduation in fashion management, because I've never studied fashion. So for me, it was and I'm a nerd. I love going to school. If I could, I think I would study right all the time, and that's me. And then I came to the UK to do a master's in fashion retail at LCF, the London College of Fashion, and it was very eye-opening on how is the industry from a global point of view. But then once I was here, I think there was this connection back to sports that's always been part of my life. And I said, how can I blend the two? And how could I blend my experience in retail with marketing? That's how retail marketing came into picture. And then I started my career in sports in the UK. And there was, I would say, like 8 years of retail brand, creative roles, and really bringing the stories to life from a brand point of view, from a football club point of view. And I think the whole journey in the UK, it's been not only from a professional point of view, that you understand how a completely different market that you're not from, how people think. Marketeers, what we do at the end of the day is to understand how people behave. And when you're not from that place, it's
a whole new challenge.
It's a whole new challenge that I'm sure you can relate. And that's been the journey here. So it was, but I'm always looking for things that excite me, because I have one thing about work in general, that it cannot only be to pay your bills at the end of the month.
100%.
If you have the chance to choose, because I think you're very privileged when you have the chance to choose. So choose something that it makes sense. My team, I always said to them, I spend more time with you than I spend with my family, so it better be good.
It's just so true.
The experience.
Because life is too short, right? So
exactly.
It's just like you have to wake up in the morning, make sure that you're choosing something that you're passionate about. And that was the transition of when I decided to do MG. Was more at the same kind of thought. What do I actually wanted to do that I'm going to be passionate about it? And I think it is so important to not think about the paycheck or the money from your passion, what drives you forward, which is the learning, right? Which is this new discovery. By the way, feeling stressed and needing a natural boost, I have recently tried Magic Mind. It's a little drink that enhances mood and focus while reducing anxiety. It's like a boost, And it's packed with herbs, which I personally love, that provide that sense of calmness and lift mood without really draining your energy. And the best thing is, it's not heavy on caffeine. So you can take it in the afternoon without really worrying about your sleep. And the great news is, if you want to experience yourself, you can now use our own code, MGEMPOWER20, to get up to 48% off your first subscription for the next 10 days. And with the 100-day, 100% money back guarantee, it's kind of like risk-free to try. So link in the description box, and I highly recommend. And if you use, let us know and how you're gonna feel, because I feel great. But and how like amazing! I love the fact that you wanted to be a ballerina and you managed really to actually kept the sport in you, working in sport, but blend the marketing and blend the retail. So you can say that you're a ballerina because like you achieved, not that you're actually a ballerina, but you achieved something that you wanted as a child. So you were kind of in that sport environment that you were passionate about when you were young. And then this is beautiful. And then tell me a lot about the, like, as you're saying about like, for us, it's a whole new challenge, right? Because it's not about the work we have to do, but also about the cultural nuances we have to learn, because we're not from UK, we're not from Europe. So how do you navigate into that as an immigrant? Did you face any, let's say
prejudice?
Yes, because you're not from here, that or people that doubted that you could do because you're not from here? How? Because I had that. But it's a challenge to navigate. So I'm sure you had too, right?
Yeah, I think London is a place that's very different from any other place that I encountered in the UK and Europe. I'm not saying that it's better or worse, but it's different because it's built with people from everywhere.
It's true.
In the world. So I think the experience that you have here not necessarily apply when you go to, let's say, you live in a completely different city, because it's a unique place. But did I face challenge? Definitely, because I think if you, especially if you go by stereotypes in general. I think if we talk about stereotypes, so what is expected from someone that comes from a certain country and how we behave, and it's almost you receive this tag that's the expectation that you're going to be. So if you're a Brazilian, you're going to be loud and you're going to be crazy and you're going to be the person that is going to walk in a room and everybody's going to know who you are. And if you don't do that, what is your problem?
So true.
So it goes both ways, because I would, some parts of me would fit on that stereotype of, I think, yes, we are. I think we Brazilians, we're passionate. We have this thing that
intense.
If we're walking in a room, you're going to know who we are. But I do have friends, Brazilian friends, they're the complete opposite. So they also go through some questioning and just saying, but you don't look like a Brazilian. And I always, when someone says something like that, I just say, what do you expect a Brazilian to be? Like, well, and it's very recent. I've been through a situation like that someone said something to me, Aline, it's so nice to meet you, because I had a completely different view, an idea what a Brazilian would be. And I say, what do you mean? Because what we see is like a carnival and it's crazy and everybody's so, free-spirited and not someone that is disciplined and studied a lot. And I just say, wow. So it does happen.
Yeah.
I think with the time that you're here, I learned to be not understanding, but more patient with certain comments, and in a way, but being much more confident to actually stand my ground. So this is where when someone challenged me and I can see that there's an undertone of you're just saying this because I'm not from here, because you can hear that. A lot. I've been to situations that was very direct, very much someone really correcting me on the way that I speak or the words that I've picked, and put you in that situation that say, wow, what just happened? And then you have the ones that are more subliminal. And I think these are the most dangerous ones because you never know if there is, other intentions with that. And now I joke about it. Now I literally, I say, am I your diversity hire? Like I do say these things like just to make people feel uncomfortable. But I think because you start understanding that everybody has their own stories. It doesn't matter if they are from the UK or from France or from wherever. They come with their background, and I try not to attach to any stereotype. And I that's what I do, like consciously. That's just saying I don't put people in boxes and I say, oh, that person behaves like that because they are from that place. Because I think it's very poor of us. Humans to do that
100%. But it feels like, because I agree with you, I think London is so cosmopolitan, there's so
very
many,
diverse.
yes, very diverse. So of course I did go through that as well, with the challenge of being a foreign, a Brazilian, and the language, etc. But I think, again, not saying the other, as you said, it's not that here is better than the other, but I like London, I think it's more welcome than any other countries from European.
Yeah, it is and it is not, in a way, because like I said, there are levels of which can be very, very problematic, what I'm going to say now. But there are levels of access, I feel.
Yes.
And I think this is very unfortunate. This is everywhere in the world. And I don't think that, oh, that's the UK. No, if you go to Brazil, it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the social power. It is the... And here is the same. So I don't, I start understanding that. I'm just saying, it's not because I'm Brazilian. Maybe because I'm part of this group that not necessarily would have access anyways. It doesn't matter where I come from. And you have to be
networking and the relationships. I think it plays a lot into how you navigate your career and your journey as well.
Yeah.
And tell me something. 13 years in UK.
Yeah.
And what is your ambition from now on? Because you have achieved it a lot since you moved to here, working for this incredible corporate, big business, which, by the way, I want to talk about fast-paced environment. Looks like you're someone that likes the challenge of being is that true?
Yeah. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing what I do. I think anyone that works in sports industry, fashion industry, if you're not a fan of madness, it's not for you. And I think marketing within these industries, it's even more intense. So
what do you like the most about this fast-paced environment in sport? What drives you?
Yeah, I'm a person that I get bored very easily. When I get bored, it's just, for me, I absorb everything that I can absorb, and then I arrive to a place and I say, am I being challenged? Am I contributing with something? So for me, it's very important that I need to feel that I am needed in a space, that I'm contributing with purpose to that space.
You're adding value,
I'm adding. And when I feel that I'm not adding anymore, so then not that I'm like, oh, I go and find something else, but I think it's the constant battle with myself, that I'm just saying, how can I do this better? So that's something that's why I think that's probably comes from very early years of discipline
100%.
And then you go back to the mode of how can I get better? And I know not comparing myself to other people, and I know that's why I do a lot that.
And why sport marketing is just so on trend right now? Why it's just like the whole sport industry is just, it's just like it's growing so quickly. And then this year we heard more and more about sport marketing, right?
I think there are two. I'm not someone that is on the trends environment, but what I realized that is happening is that there's a massive boom in the wellness industry, which sports comes hand in hand with that. So everybody I think COVID made almost everyone stop and reevaluate, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my body? what I'm doing with my mind, and then you start looking after yourselves, and then sports coming to that. So and I don't see it's a trend. It's all people realizing that you need to move
for you to mindset,
for you to be healthy, which is one thing, right? But then there's another side, which is sports it's always been, but I think with the power of marketing, being part of really cultural relevance, which you don't see, the lines are so blurred between music, sports, fashion, and everything in between. So then I think this is where comes why it's so talked about it. Like the athletes, and they're becoming celebrities. And it's been for a while. It's not now, but I think now with for obvious reasons, with social media and everything else, you know about that person, and you want to know what they do on their normal day and how they are as humans. And I think there's an interest to that person that achieves something that is so, I say sports, it's something that's so palpable that you win something, or you win the race with yourself. Like you set your targets and you say, I'm going to achieve that, and you can achieve that. So I think this is where sports is it's always been part of everybody, and that's something that is important that we say a lot where at work, that it's about movement, it's about moving your body. It's not necessarily a practice of sport, but then we need as humans to connect and to move. So I think this is where it comes, and I think it's professionalizing as well. More and more. If we go back, I would say 10 to 20 years on how sports marketing was being defined, it was very exclusive to very top.
I'm about to say.
Very top athletes, and now it's taken very seriously from the beginning.
And I like that you said it's about moving your body. So it's less, of course, not less about the sports, but it's more creating that mindset and that philosophy that moving your body is good for your mind, is good for your soul, is good for your body. So it comes from a place that you're selling something with an intention, with a purpose, to not just to sell the product, but to sell a lifestyle. And that's what I think why sports now, we talk a lot about marketing sports, because people can resonate with the intention and the message that if you do it, it can change your life in so many ways. In Cannes Lions this year is when I was just like open-minded, and I was just like, wow, marketing sports is here to stay, because pretty much all the big agents and even FIFA had a space at the beach where there was athletes coming from everywhere to do the panels. So the majority of the panels during Cannes Lions this year was related to marketing sports, and athletes attending to talk about their own experience of being a athlete, because people are now, as you said, they're curious.
Everybody wants to know. They want to know.
Right? Because it's you with yourself. Challenge yourself, because when you work in a corporate environment, a company, is you with a team trying to create a campaign, try to create a creative concept. But athletes is not, right?
It can be very depending if you're not an athlete that is on a part of a team, and a team that's team sports. So it can be very lonely, the whole experience of going through that, which I can relate to any work that we do in life. And I think that's why I admire athletes so much, for their discipline, for their drive. And I think the mental, because you train your body to do something almost automatically, but then the mind, the power that you need to have in your mind to not to get phased when something doesn't go as you would like. That's unbelievable what they're capable of. And I think this was one of the reasons why I really wanted to go back to sports, to work in sports. Because for me, it's always going to be industries that I'm passionate about, fashion and all that. But I think on sports you can find that it's something you cannot explain, which is the drive to achieve something with your body, with your mind, and that's what keeps me very motivated to. I need to believe. I think marketing for me,
You have to
because
believe.
I think it's a very personal experience on when you are a marketer, when you know how you build your brain around that. And for me, it's very important to work for a product or for a brand that I really believe myself. So I have to be an advocate for that.
Yes, because you're creating
It's
the
hard.
marketing around. It's
yeah,
hard. It's
hard.
very hard. And then, like, what's the role of, because like we've mentioned, like with social media now, the access and, you know, the content of, you know, sports can even be more, you know, exponentially
Yeah.
in terms of getting the message out there. How do you see social media playing? It's already playing, but how do you see social media in the future, like with this trend? I don't want to say trend because it's not a trend, it's a reality, right? People are changing their mindset, they're more conscious about the importance of sport. Do you see social media being a kind of a pivotal, important channel to spread that message from?
Oh yeah, I think access to information. I think this is where anything, right? They have the good things and the bad things, and I prefer focusing on the good things. And for me, social media brought access of information that you wouldn't have before.
No.
You know, I can talk about life before internet. It's telling my age now. Can tell life before internet, very different from what it is. And I think the same for social media. Like it's a medium that has to be taken seriously like any other. Do I believe in regulations and other things? It's a different topic, but I do think that you can get closer to wider public, a wider audience, but and you can be very intentional but on the positive side, so you can really understand what people want through social, which is a magical thing for me. Before, what would you have to do for you to see reactions of people? You have to do massive research and all those things.
Because you cannot see a reaction of a person watching advertising on a TV show because you're not there to see it and to comment.
Yeah, so I think that's the beauty of social, and also for me is like to connect people from a geographical point of view. I think us like coming from you know different countries, but I think this you see the power of connection, and I think that was for me it's unbelievable. They are
it's more accessible.
The accessibility and the connectivity that you wouldn't get, I think, with a different medium or. Yeah.
And how information is spread so quickly, I think it's just so beauty. And then creative economy, influencers, talents. Is this something that you are working around? Is something that you guys push through it? What do you think is the role of a creator within the sport marketing?
Yeah, I don't personally work very close to it. But obviously it's all part. It's part of the bigger plan, and it's very important to I think any brand to accept the fact that you cannot run away from it, and so I think once you accept that, you can be very intentional is the word with who you want to work with, and I think that connection needs to be very authentic, and it has to be. It cannot feel forced. It cannot feel commercial and transactional. It has to feel that really that person, it's so connected to your brand that it's part of their daily lives. So it's not
forcing something.
And it's a role. I see the co-creation. It's when you think about. Planning strategically a campaign, and then you just say they're all part of your creative. They are part of your creative.
I love the co-creation word. I truly believe that when you co-create it is when you can see real magic happening.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about like the role of social media and then how, you know, COVID changed the way we consume social. But at the same time, I think COVID changed the way consumers want to consume brands because we were kind of isolated for almost 2 years, and then social media was kind of our comfort, right? There was the rise of TikTok, and then brands had to understand how we're going to be now locked down and how we're gonna, you know, use social to promote your brand, but to connect to people, but also support this moment. But now there's another shift that in real life experience became a big thing. That in my head is just so crazy to think that during COVID we were talking about retail died. Real experience is never gonna happen again. Stores will close down. People only going to buy on e-commerce for now on. That's the end of retail. And then for one point, you're like, oh my God, it's the end of retail. There's not gonna be more connection. There's not gonna be more in real life experience. And then 2024, it flipped again. So e-commerce went down, not went down, but the kind of like
they overestimated the power of
and then now retail became again a big and important thing for any brand, and experience is what people are craving.
We've always craved. I don't think is a well. I know I'm no psychologist or anything on that, but we as humans, we crave connection. And we crave interaction. I do believe that we are social beings. Even for people that say, oh, I'm introvert, but I want to, but you still can play with people online. You're still connecting. So we crave that connection, right? Like we need to be connected to something. I think when it gets to, and I do believe that we also get bored. So I think there's only so much that digital experience can give to you. In real life. And you see the response of another person that is going through that experience with you, that's the magic. And I don't think you can replicate that in the... And it's funny because when we say, oh, but the younger generation, that's where... Well, if the younger generation really didn't want that connection, we wouldn't see Taylor Swift filling up stadiums and places.
Example.
And that's what, because we want that. We want to share the experience, because even if it's not an experience from a brand being thrown at you, but then share with your peers their experience.
Yes.
And I think that's the sweet spot for brands, when you find something that people can share with themselves, not you as a brand in the high grounds thinking, oh, I'm going to give this experience to you. It's much more like, no, I will invite you
to that experience,
to share this with everyone that thinks similarly to you, that they love the same things as you. And this is where the beauty of brand experience that I'm very passionate about, that I don't think that ever went away. I think we were not able to do it.
But now
so it's almost when you do like a diet and you just say, I cannot eat that for a few months, and then suddenly you can, and then you go wild on that. And I think that's what it is. It's something that you always loved and you stopped for a while, so now you want more. And all the brands, I think they are realizing that there is no way back.
There is no way back
on that.
Yes,
and they're much more, and people are much more critical
about their brand experience. Yes,
because they learned that they can be without and still survive. So then they say, what is actually going to make me leave my house, go to a place, spend some hours there, go through transport, this and the weather, all those things you have to put, because we Brazilians, people don't think too much about that, because they just say, oh, the weather is great, so we will go.
No.
Here, it's like, I'll take someone in November, December
to go out
to go and to do something.
To do something with this amazing
but
weather.
It's not, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, but it's incredible, because I think 2024, if I have to define when it comes to marketing, I would say brand experience.
Yeah.
It became, a must for any brand. But I think the way it came back differently from before COVID, because as you said, now you have to be much more intentional of how you're going to create that experience, because you cannot disappoint.
Yes.
Taking people to there. Whereas before, you could create an experience, but now you have to be very bespoke, tailored, and thought through to actually create experience that people can share.
Yeah.
Whereas before, there was not this sharing element. It was just put the experience there and see what's going to happen. And I think more exclusive is also going to be a thing in 2025 of like brand experience, but trying to create a more exclusive momentous for key consumers.
and the response is very much on the spot. So you don't have, you as a brand, you don't have even time to react.
No, because
So
it's
literally, it's
go.
there, see, is live, everybody can see it, and if something goes wrong. So I think the brands that really thrive on that space are the brands that bring to the table people that really understand the consumer audience.
Yeah.
So understand to say what they actually need or what they want, or even people that thinking that's what I think they want, but they really understand that consumer. And that's one thing. Another point is that brands that they really take the time to craft that experience. Because it's on the little detail, and it don't need to be a luxury brand for you to think about the detail. Because I think the luxury brands, they are the big teachers of experience, right? And I could see that from the time that I was working with a premium luxury brand, that it's so different. It's so different on how you approach the connection with your fan. That's how we call it, with your guest. So it's very different. It cannot feel transactional.
No, it cannot.
So this is where I call the university of experience. It is luxury, because for someone to really spend the amount of money on something, that's other things has to justify, not only the product. But I think now every other brand, like I've been to Oxford Street the other day, and in every store that I went inside, you could see that actually every brand is making an effort to
create an
change the journey.
Yes.
You can go to the like most value retailer to the one that's most expensive, and you can see that everybody's putting an effort on that. But there's so much more that can be done.
No, 100%. I'm excited about 2025. It's going to be a lot of change with the election that just happened in the US, the new labor topic here, yes, and then the brand experience. So I'm excited now to see what's going to happen 2025 when you blend and combine all of this happening in the world. And what is next for Aline?
I tend not to plan things for long years and all that. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now, which I think I'm enjoying the ride, and enjoying the ride, and then just trying to learn as much as I can, because I'm always I'm a learner. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly learning about the industry, but above all, it's learning about people, because this is where I really love, because it's to be around people, and not only people that like the audience that we work with, but the people on my team, the people that are really on my more personal relationships, that I think they need to make sense, and you need to be bringing something to the table to everyone. I think relationships in general, for me, that they have to be intentional, because otherwise just spend time and you're just saying why.
Your family, as you said, right? Yeah. So it has to be intention, which is it comes to leadership, right? So I think it's something that you're saying, that leadership, it's a hard job, but as you said,
very rewarding.
Yes, very rewarding at the same time.
Very rewarding, yes.
Aline, and then one, of course, we were, as we're discussing here, both Brazilians, immigrants, and we made our way through, went through challenge, but we made a way to succeed. And I think it's important, and also is our responsibility to tell to other, not necessarily just Brazilian, but other immigrants that have a dream to live abroad, to have a career outside their own countries. What you would say to this young generation, or not necessarily young generation, for people that has a dream to have an opportunity to live and work in another country?
I think this is a very, very important thing for us to discuss. I think there's never enough time for us to discuss this type of topics. But one thing that I would say to anyone that decides I will make this change, or that's my dream, or I've always dreamed to go and live abroad and work because, for example, in my case, I didn't come through a company. So I was not transferred with a company. So I was literally arrived here and had to start from ground up with my CV and connection. So I think everything for me starts on networking. All networking is networking. So if you are in a place that you didn't grow up on that place or you were not born on that place, make sure that you get to know as many people as possible, because every opportunity is an opportunity. And I always had this, I've never thought that, oh, this is not, why am I going to be there? And for me, it was like, no, I will go and I will get to know people, and it doesn't matter if it's different industries. I just want to make people. Connections, and I think that's one big important thing, that you have to be very disciplined on that, because can be a bit delusional when people just arrive and they say, oh, I arrive and I have this dream, and it just say you have to be almost like, okay, I'm going to put here a target of how many people I'm going to connect with, how many people I'm going to speak with, and literally lose all your, I would say that your pride, I would say, in a way that's so because true. I think especially if you come from a situation in your country that you went to university and you had your job there and you have a CV. When I arrived here, my CV was looked at and just say, oh, sorry, you're from Brazil.
The same.
And that's what for me, I just say, okay, but don't give up on that, because that's another important thing that I want to touch. We have an expression in Portuguese, I don't know if it's translatable, but we have a thing that we call that is the stray dog syndrome, right?
Yes.
Síndrome de vira-lata in Brazil, which is, we always think that we're not good enough. And from other places, everybody's better than us. And so I think you need to be confident on yourself, what you can bring to the table, and really focus on that difference that you can bring, instead of trying to fit in constantly.
I agree.
And feel bad that you're not fitting in. And someone asked me this the other day, and the person told me, but how can you operate in a place that's people from everywhere in the world? And I said, don't assume anything, and something that I've been learning more and more. So it's not something that comes naturally. So don't assume anything. Don't take anything personally, because it can come with stereotypes. It can come with so many other things. And give people space and time for them to learn about you and to understand where you're coming from. With the way that you speak, the way that you react. People just say to me, oh, you're too emotional. I'm like, no, we just react. And that's how we are.
Yeah,
and I do think that we have to believe that we, if you come with something that is different, and if you constantly feel, and this comes from people that can be born on that exact place.
Exactly.
And they say, I don't feel that I never fit on this place, but embrace that. And people will respect, because you're true to yourself. And that's what I would say to anyone. There is a space for everyone in the world. That's how I feel it. Obviously, we have a lot of horrible things happening in the world now. But if we are lucky to be in places that can give you this opportunity to be yourself, just embrace it. And I think that's where we can contribute to wherever we are. It doesn't matter where you come from. Because the important thing is where you are now and what you're doing now.
And if I can add one thing on that, I would say, never accept a no as an answer.
Never be annoying.
I had so many no's, so many, you cannot do it, go back to Brazil, there is no chance in here. But every no that I have received gave me more fuel and strength to never give up. So that will be my add-on, like, never accept a no as an answer. And don't forget that people that say that you can not do something is more a reflection about them than yourself. Just believe in yourself and know your power, because if you have the right intention, there's no one can stop you.
No.
Amazing. What an inspiring conversation, and I'm so proud the fact that, again, Brazilians, and then it's just it's not easy to be where we are. So it's been a lot of obstacles and you know, challenges, and when I see someone that is coming from Brazil as well and be so successful and so amazing journey. So thank you so much for being with us, and exciting moment for you because you want more challenge, and I think you're in the right place right now because it is just so excited to see what you guys are doing. And thank you so much for being with us.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Very, very exciting. And just a reminder, if you're curious to experience the benefits yourself of Magic Mind, don't forget that you now can use our own code MGEMPOWER20 to get up to 48% off your first subscription for the next 10 days. Link is in the description box, and I highly recommend. Thank you so much, everyone that had the time to actually listen, watch this episode with the incredible Aline Machado. Hope you have enjoyed. Hope her stories has inspired you as inspired me. And then if you're not following us, make sure you do on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and Amazon. And thank you so much again. And I see you guys on our next episode. Thank you so much.